Hi, it's Chris Titley here, and as this week's episode of Scoreboard, I'm joined by Cal Bruton. Cal, thank you so much for being part of this series.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you for inviting me.
Cal, I'm interested to know why basketball has been such a love of yours in your entire life.
Well, I guess it was the one sport that I was able to play by myself. I grew up with two younger sisters, and one that was intellectually handicapped and another one that was 7 years my junior. Basketball gave me a chance to play a sport that, I can talk to myself and pretend I was in the game-winning situation, taking the last shot, whereby I played all sports. Football, I was a quarterback for the Queens Falcons, our local team in the Popwater Football League, and I played baseball as a shortstop for my high school. So I needed teammates for all those sports. Even basketball just gave me that opportunity to just go work on my game after watching an NBA game and or just going to watch the big guys in the park and trying to emulate, what I seen them do. So it was a pretty good sport to keep me occupied.
And Cal, do you remember the early days of when you picked up that first basketball and you thought, this is pretty cool, I can work on this?
Yes, I remember I was in Brooklyn, New York, playing at my public school in the yard, and then just throwing up some hoops. And then I had a friend that was pretty good at it already, Michael Moore. I never forget him. And he used to show me a few things, and then before you know it, we're playing one-on-one, and he just spanked me every day until I decided that enough is enough. I got to get better at this.
And what do you think about as a basketball player to get better? Was it based on skills? Was it based on fitness at the time? Like, what was there something in your head going, actually, how do I get better? Is it just practice?
It was definitely practice, and it was really come down to perfect practice. I learned that probably that term, but I've always applied it. That perfect practice makes perfect. So I try my best to emulate some of the top players that I used to see, and whether it was their shot or the way they handled the ball, those are things that I took to heart and put a little extra time into it.
And Cal, do you want to talk about the journey of coming to Australia? You've got a bit of an Aussie twang in your accent, but not an entirely Aussie twang. The journey of coming over to Australia and how that all came about.
Well, coming to Australia was an interesting move. I was working on a trash truck in Kansas with a young family. I had two young boys, ages 7 and 3, and all of a sudden I missed out on a professional contract or the NBA, and I started to work on the trash truck, and I also re-enrolled in university to finish my degree in broadcasting. And then a gentleman who had seen me play at the Kansas City Kings camp, or now the Sacramento Kings, had a gentleman ring me up from Kansas City. They just happened to contact my university to see if they could locate me, and I just happened to be on the campus at that time. I saw the guy pointing upstairs. Someone must have said, "Oh, there's Cal sitting up in the 10,000 seat stadium," And they decided to come up after me, but I thought they were coming to kick me out because it was a closed session. So I was leaving when they yelled back and said, "Hey, we got a gentleman that's trying to reach you from Kansas City. They were talking to you about going to Australia." I was like, "Really?" I said, "I didn't know anything about Australian basketball." So he said, "It's all right if I make the call back and tell him that you're interested, and give him your phone number so he can call you at home." And sure enough, I received a call from Dr. David Atkins a few days later at about 4:00 in the morning, right when I was getting ready for the trash. And he suggested that maybe I tuck my trash truck in and come play basketball in Australia. I thought it was Austria. Midwinter, and I had snow on the ground. I was behind in my route. I had my wife to drive the truck while my young fellas were taking off the lids of the garbage cans and putting them back on while I go pick up the trash and dump it. And they thought it was fun and games, but I was exhausted. But I caught up on the route, and then he told me to rang me back and told me to make a decision whether I wanted to come or not, because I would have to leave on a Wednesday, and this was like on a Monday morning, in order to get there by Friday. thought, yeah, where is this place? And that's when I realized I was going through a different time zone, and I accepted the deal to come out to play in Australia in the first year of the National Basketball League.
Cal, before we get on to your playing time here in Australia, I'm interested to know your relationship with basketball when you then sort of thought, okay, the NBA may not have been a dream that you could fulfill, and you went to a job and you re-enrolled in university. Was it a throw in the towel, or did you have in the back of the mind, there's something there, I just want to keep playing?
No, I definitely was continuing to play. I played in under 6 foot league. After getting cut from San Antonio, I just thought it was some things I need to work on. So playing in the under 6 foot league, you're playing against guys your size, so I can work on some different things. And I was always inspiring to play. I played what you call it was like the G League is now.
One before the NBA.
And I went through that, and that was a pretty good exercise to travel a little bit around the Midwestern states and represent Wichita, Kansas, in that it was all in the Midwest. And sure enough, I came out of being one of the top players in the comp. I always felt that I had the skill set, and I did have some pro players tell me the same. Don't give up. Keep going, young fella. Little fella, whatever they nick. But I decided that I would just play the game as long as I was enjoying it. And also, I was starting to do some coaching as well, and I started a little local comp. And then when I got the opportunity to come, I thought, yeah, well, here's my chance. It was only for $400 a week, and you got your board, and I got some food put in my fridge. But it was a professional contract to me, and it was in another country, so I was going to make the most of it.
And when you worked out that Australia wasn't in Europe and you arrived in your first day to Australia, do you remember it pretty clearly?
I do. I remember it was a long trip. It was roughly 24 hours, because back then they called it the milk run. You had to fly from Wichita to Denver, from Denver to San Francisco, where I had to get a visa and my passport updated. Then from there to Hawaii, from Hawaii to New Zealand, to Auckland to Sydney. And I thought, Jesus Christ, like where? And then I got from Sydney to Brisbane and landed on the tarmac. They didn't even have an airport. And I was cooking because I had a wool coat with a fur collar and wool pants and boots and a Sherlock Holmes hat just in case my ears got cold. I can pull the earmuffs down over my ears. And I landed in February, right in
summer.
It was pretty hot, and yeah, that was kind of my wake-up call. Once I landed, they told me to shower real quick. They wanted to work me out because the television cameras were at the stadium, and they wanted to see me play, and told me that they'd meet them at the Auckland Dome. I thought, gee, the Auckland Dome.
The Auckland Flower, one of the great basketball games in Queensland. Did they greet you at the airport with a little sign and a couple of photographers?
No photographers back then. It was just Dr. David Atkins and the manager Fred Van Dongen, who, yep. God bless us, both those men are still with us, and then also Harold Peacock, who was God bless him.
Yes, yep. I remember Harold from many years ago as a junior, following the Bullets. Now let's talk about the Bullets time in Brisbane. Did you enjoy Brisbane?
I did. Yeah, Brisbane was a nice, wonderful wake-up call. Nice transition from the winter of Kansas, where it was minus 37 degrees, to wearing shorts and T-shirts every day, And, Dave Atkins didn't let us go slack. I had a roommate, or I should say a next-door apartment, Dan Hickett, who was also from Kansas, 6'11" guy who was very, very good basketballer. And, although he didn't play a lot at K-State where he went to school, but here he was a true big man. So really had a chance to kind of get with him and say, okay, Dan, let's do this. Big Dan, the rebound man, and we just went to work straight away. We both had a passion for the game, and we both wanted to teach the game. We were going to all the schools that Dave Atkins used to take us to, and we learned so much about the culture and everything right back then. So that was good. It was good to come through Brisbane at that point in time where the game was pretty raw. wasn't many basketball courts around, and most of them was netball rings.
No, that's right. And I think just touching on that topic, there's basketball's had a bit of a resurgence in Australia and particularly in Brisbane. My kids play at a local club and they've been inundated with junior participation. Can you talk about the time now, I suppose, where basketball is getting a bit of a resurgence and why you think that is?
Well, obviously, television plays a big part in that. The NBL, Larry Kesselman, the marketing that he puts behind all that is huge. It's on mini games, it's on full-time games, it's on the week replays. You got all the shows surrounding it, overtime and nothing but net and you name it. So I think the awareness factor is huge now. And as a result of that, you get a lot of young people wanting to learn how to play the game. I'm still heavily involved with teaching the game to youngsters around the country, and I get to see how enthusiastic these young players are. All of them would like to improve their games and obviously go to the NBA or go to college or even play NBL or NBL 1. But the pathways are there now for all these youngsters, men and women, boys and girls, to use the pathway and the tool of engagement to get themselves to a better place. So, yeah, I could see how the game is just really, really blossomed over the last, say 6-7 years.
And just on that, with the kids these days potentially wanting to play in the elite level, play professional sport for money, was that in your mind at the time to play for money, or was it just to play thinking that you're good and you love playing?
I think it was a bit of both. I definitely love playing and love competing. But also, you want to make a living. You realize once you come out of college, like, geez, I got to eat. I got to have a roof over my head.
Kids as well. Yep.
And in my case, I had 2 young kids. Like, I came across here with by myself and left my kids at home. So I had to send all my money back to make sure they were straight. And then eventually, I came back here with them all. 7 months later, I think it was, and having everyone here, and then having another son. I think I was the only player in the whole country that had kids and was actually playing for a living and full time. I mean, I was coaching 7 days a week, the junior development, skill schools from under 10s right through to under 18s, and then eventually coaching the senior team as well, as a playing coach. So I had a pretty hectic schedule, almost to the point where I could have probably burnt out, but to make sure that, I put family first, and a lot of times to take off and have a little bit of a break with them. And of course, my boys loved the game as well. It made it easier. They hung out with me, and we all kind of played together. So that was good.
When you look back at your NBL playing career before we get on to coaching, 250 games over 4 clubs, how do you describe it now looking back at it?
Yeah, it was pioneering stuff. I feel very proud to know that I've come through that era whereby, I wasn't getting paid a lot of money. Everyone thinks, oh, yeah, shit, Kyle was the only guy getting paid. Well, when you talk about 20 grand and you got a family of 5 and you're paying a mortgage and a car note and you have to perform, because they would strictly send you home if you didn't live up to their expectations, and I eventually had to sort of drop off that note and go sell women's shoes for a living, at Vogue Shoes.
And a lot of people would have had other jobs as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, every player really worked because we used to train in the evening, But when I was actually cultivating grassroots basketball for 7 days a week for about a good 5 years in a row, around the clock, then you know that you've dedicated to the sport. And a lot of those players still talk to me about that. And I get grandparents telling me that you coaching my grandkids now, like still, because I'm still at it. So I think basketball was more of a passion project as well as a career. I wanted to see young people improve. Obviously, with my sons, I wanted to see them improve and use the vehicle. And now I have 5 sons and a daughter, and all my boys have played at a reasonable level. They represent the states, and some of them represented obviously internationally. I got a grandson now that's on the international scene. So yeah, basketball has just been tremendous for myself and my family. And I'm still, like I said, just turned 70 last week. And
Happy birthday.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. And still healthy. Yeah, my father-in-law is still healthy. But I enjoy seeing young people improve and use this vehicle because it can take you all over the world, which is indicative by my son CJ being in China now, coaching.
Absolutely. Cal, I'm interested to know, at the top of your game, when you felt like you were at the top of your game, what sort of characteristics that you had at the time? That was it skills? Was it fitness? Was it strategy? Were you eating well? Like, was there lots of different things, or was there something else that you thought that I've just got to keep going because I want to be the best in my business?
No, that's a good call, Chris. I definitely wanted to be the best. I prided myself on being the number one player in the country. I don't often get a chance to say it, but I don't think it's anybody, including Andrew Gaze and the likes of his status, that led the league in scoring, led the NBL in assists, led the NBL in free throw percentage, 3-point percentage, and been a champion player and coach. And I did this a lot while I was in my late 20s, early 30s, leading the way. Won Victorian titles, won MVPs in Victoria, South Australia, interstate stuff, won championships there as well as MVPs. And I think it was my desire to continue to improve. Fitness-wise, I used to run around with a stopwatch in my hand, running 400s, 200s. No one would probably know, but I was always prepared to be the last man standing on the court. And the old cliche, prior preparation beats that PP performance. Well,
yep.
It wasn't ever going to get me because I was always in the gym, making 100 free throws in a row. If I miss at 90, I'm still in there starting again. And, sometimes the wife had to come in and rebound the basketball just so I can get out of there.
Okay, dinner's ready.
Yes.
But, yeah.
That was it. I wanted to be the best, making all-star teams and, even to the point where I had to pack up my family and leave because some clubs, because I became a Australian citizen, I had that flexibility. And I obviously represented Australia, through the 85, 88 period. And I really felt that in order for me to survive here, I had to be a citizen because I've seen so many Americans get kicked to the curb, and I was not going to be one of them because I had the responsibility of a family here. So it was always
when you're walking down the street and people recognize you and they say, "Oh, that's Cal Bruton," they come and say hello, and you might be having a coffee with your family or whatnot. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel great. Sometimes I've never ever knocked anyone back. Always try to be kind and courteous. Yeah, my goal was always, my grandson actually came out with the acronym, the Bruton acronym, and he was 9 years old. It was like, be kind to others, it don't cost you anything. Respect your elders. In my case, to just show respect for everyone. They got to use your manners. And my mom always taught me that, and my grandson related that he heard it from his dad, CJ. Trust in God, which, I'll carry an open Bible in my house. And, I go read a verse and, put my hand on and count my blessings. To own your mistakes. We're all going to make them. But, I always put my hand up, and I like to think that, people who know me understand that, that I'm going to be real with them. And my number one is what my grandson said, Pop said, you never give up. And I've had that many knockbacks, and I'm thinking, why should I take a step back, even though someone else doesn't want me, and just give up and don't go anymore. For instance, winning championships and then having to move on to another destination because you done built that club up and they don't feel that they need your services anymore. So I just said, well, okay, well, that's the way you feel about it. I'll see you at the top on my next journey, and that's happened on a few occasions, actually.
That's a fabulous acronym, and I need to write that down later and talk to my kids about that. Just on some characteristics, Cal, you sound very resilient. Do you remember, like, you probably missed a number of shots in your life, and you've lost a number of games as player and as coach. How important is resilience when it comes to sport?
Oh, utmost importance. You definitely gotta persevere through those difficult times, and if you learn how to handle those appropriately, it can help you grow in a lot of respects. And I took pride in that. That was another acronym. I knew I had to persevere, and we talked about respect. I knew I had to get more intelligent about the way I went about my business, being investigative in the new measures and learning how to stay ahead of the curve. The D's was my backbone or my structure. It was all about being determined, all about the dedication. It was all about the desire to have fun while I'm doing it. It's all about the discipline, staying on it every day, and the details on how I was going to go about charting my goals and achieving them as well. So the D's was important, but none of that was going to happen without the effort. And I put forth always effort. I'm constant being a student of the game, and trying to explore different ways to continue to help it grow. As I mentioned earlier, I'm still coaching from under 10s futures program to coaching the under 18 Hoop Fest. Took a team over there to Perth to participate in that, which gave these young people a tremendous experience, and 2 young Sudanese players in particular that I had to pay for to go over there to help them have an opportunity. So through my foundation, I'm getting a great opportunity to spread that goodness and help these kids see that they could, whatever happened for me as being a Hall of Famer and all that, well, it can happen for you too. Yeah.
Absolutely. You touched on the word goal. Were you a goal setter? And if you were, how far out was your goal?
I had short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals. The long-term goals now is to build this foundation up to where it's nationally renowned, internationally renowned, and have my sons and my daughter, take the baton and run with it, So
To set up a legacy, basically, you think? The Cal Bruton legacy.
they tell me I got one. That's what most people tell me, that it's been a tremendous legacy that I've set up for my family and I. But I think at the end of the day, you want to be in a position where you can open the door and help someone else through it, and I believe that wholeheartedly, that if you do help others, it comes back to you tenfold. Might not be when you want it to, but eventually it will. So, when I look back at my career, I think, wow, I'm seeing these players succeed and go ahead. And sometimes they move on and forget about you. They don't even want to even recognize you after you done helped them get to it. That's fine. That's okay. I can still look them in the eye and know that I gave my effort. And at some point, I feel they're going to come around and say, oh, wow, thank you, man. I really appreciate you. So I don't look for that. Never have. And I teach my kids not to as well. As CJ, as what he had to go through recently, I said, hey, welcome to my world. It happens. And, his family had to just now move to Canberra so that we're all assisting them right now and watching them settle in while he's over in China. And it just happened to all my sons in one place or another. But I teach them to just turn the page. You got to put 2 eggs in your shoes and beat it and make like a breeze and blow.
Cal, I'm going to throw some words out there now, which may or may not describe your personality. I'd love you to say yes or no and explain a little bit whether you are that person or not. I'm going to start with the word competitive.
Yes, to the max, actually. I like to win. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If I lose, I'm not a sore loser, but I'm going to figure out a way to beat you next time. That's the way I go about it.
Are you serious?
Very. But I'm a fun guy as well. So I don't let the seriousness dominate my, personality, other than to take the hits and learn from them and move on. But I like to have fun. My philosophy, as you would have heard, run, stun, and have some fun.
That's it. What about nervous? Did you get nervous?
Oh. Nah, preparation. I got my father-in-law here. He's almost answering the questions for me. But nah, he knows me very well. I don't get nervous because I prepare. And I think when you prepare for something, you just don't be nervous about it. You just try to really focus in on the task at hand. At the task at hand, and I think it's important to to like really lock in when it comes to that situation.
Superstitious.
Yes. Very. Yeah. Gee, like my left eye blinks too much. That means it's not going to be good luck. So I got to rub it and everything and stop it from blinking. But yeah, I'm superstitious to an extent. Yes.
Structured.
Structured. Yes. Although my wife would tell me that, I need to get into my diary a little bit better than I do. But I do have a program that I follow because of my aging body and I kind of let my body take over sometimes. If I need rest, I rest. But I'm known to drive 16 hours straight to go to a destination and obviously take breaks in between just to stretch your legs and get a coffee or whatever. But I'm structured in what I have to do and how I go about it. And I try to really sort of zero in on the importance of where I'm going. I feel like most of the things I do it's going to be a mission statement in the end of the day.
I got two more. Confident.
Very. I'm a very confident person. I believe in myself. Having grown up without my dad, who I lost when I was 7 years of age, and my mom told me at the age of 8 that I'm the man of the house. So I took that very personally and became confident about the way I carried myself. And I like to think the way I present myself. I like nice things, clothes. I like to wear. My mom told me I got to have always my head shaved nice or cut nice, and when I had hair. But also the first thing people look at is your head and your feet. So I always keep my little white Air Force Ones in good nick, or I might have some patent leather shoes on when I have my suit on. So yeah, I try to be confidently about the way I present myself.
And the last one is empathetic.
Yes, I think I have empathy to the max, probably almost too much, because if someone calls me or someone needs a favor, I'm probably the first person to try to put my hand up and find out a way how I can help. So yeah, I got a lot of empathy for particularly people that go through hard times. I know what it's like for myself, having gone through some difficult challenges, and as I mentioned, I think that's what makes you a whole being when you empathetic and you got all the quality, characteristics that you asked me earlier.
Cal, one final question. I've got kids and you've got kids and grandkids, and they're out there playing sport. We live in a wonderful country here in Australia. What's some advice that you'd give them now to get out there and to play sport? Some might have their eye on the prize. Some might get picked in under 12 rep teams or whatever it might be, but some advice from you.
I would say, obviously, to believe in yourself. And that's the most important. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. So you have to go about believing in yourself. And maybe, again, I can use another acronym for them. You got to pack your swag in your bag. That's a skill set. Whatever your passion is that you can apply your skill set to, go for it, because that's going to give you the little leverage that you need to keep it going. You got to have a work ethic. I don't believe there's a player or person in this country that work any harder than I do. That's including all the big wigs that got the $1 million and all that. You might see me, on the recent schedule having to go from here to the Blitz, and then go from the Blitz and work a camp in Rockhampton, then fly from Rockhampton to Brisbane and drop a car, and then drive a car to Brisbane, then jump on a plane back to Canberra, then hop on a plane to Perth, and then do the coaching there, then hop on the plane back to Canberra, change my bag, my suitcase, and drive 4 hours to Wagga Wagga. So I do a 4-day workshop. Then I get a chance to come home for my birthday, right? That's the schedule that I all of a sudden go, whoa, I done locked myself into this. I gotta get it. So the work ethic is important, that you don't let anybody down. Your attitude is your altitude. How high do you want to rise? I think that's my prayer right there. I try to pack a great attitude. I try to spread that to all my kids. I say attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? So I bring that to the table. And the last thing is that we talked about earlier, the goals. You got to keep setting them. You got to keep promoting where you want to be and how long it would take for you to get there, and again, now that I'm in my 70s, I'm starting the clock's ticking, right? and there's some things that I really want to achieve. And, I sit on different platforms at the moment. I try to work my social media so people know, and also so I can keep my family in touch in the States, which recently I was denied a trip to get back to the U.S., which really hurt me deeply. They wouldn't let me on the plane for whatever reason, still haven't told me. And I couldn't see my two younger sisters who daily really miss me. I'm still trying to find someone in the government to help me out here, but, it's been everything I do is always about looking in the future, more so for my kids than myself. But we've been able to be a really good family and promote good things, and I take a lot of pride in that.
Cal, thank you so much for taking your time out today to talk on the Scoreboard podcast, and I really do appreciate your insights as a player, as a coach, as a human being, your attitude and your work ethic, and also some advice that you can give to the younger audience, and really look forward to meeting in person at some point in time.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. I really appreciate it.